Maoism is a continuation of Marxism-Leninism based on the theories of Chinese revolutionary leader Mao Zedong. Mao led the Chinese Communist Party in a civil war against the nationalist Kuomintang and the revolution in 1949. After Stalin died and Nikita Khrushchev took over the Soviet Union, Mao denounced the new Soviet leadership as revisionist for deviating from Marxism-Leninism. This led to a split in the international communist movement, with the pro-China side upholding Mao's anti-revisionist interpretation of Marxism-Leninism. After Mao's death, several of these parties got together to form the Revolutionary Internationalist Movement, which would declare Marxism-Leninism-Maoism a newer and higher stage of Marxist theory, based in part on the experience of the Peruvian communist guerrillas known as the Shining Path. This meant that the ideology was considered universally applicable and consisted of 5 major ideas. The protracted People's War is a revolutionary strategy that does not rely on a single seizure of state power, but rather a prolonged insurgency that starts with the base of dual power and expands throughout the country when it has the strength. New democracy is a strategy for workers in colonized countries to overthrow imperialism by allying with other classes, such as the peasantry, petit bourgeoisie, and national bourgeoisie, who would all stand to gain from expelling imperialist powers from the country. The alliance would be under the control and leadership of a communist vanguard party. The mass line is a method of developing policies where party members go out and listen to the concerns of the masses, study those concerns and demands under the lens of Marxist-Leninist theory, and then form concrete solutions and carry them out. This is summed up in the phrase, "from the masses to the masses." Mao also expanded on the Marxist-Leninist philosophy of dialectical materialism with his law of contradiction. Mao explained that contradictions are constant, but that unity is temporal. Struggle produces unity, and unity produces struggle, etc. Concretely, this meant that class struggle continues, even under socialism. In fact, class struggle even intensifies, giving the need for a cultural revolution. Since ideological and cultural elements of class rule still exist even after the state has been overthrown in the socialist revolution, they would still need to be struggled against and replaced with a proletarian culture and ideology that upholds socialism. Many Maoists and Marxists in general uphold Lenin's idea that the majority of workers in imperialist countries form a labor aristocracy, meaning that they live a relatively comfortable and affluent lifestyle due to the high wages and welfare state that are made possible by the super-exploitation of workers in poorer countries. This has the effect of pacifying the workers of these countries, as they are bought off by the bourgeoisie with a higher standard of living. Third worldists take this theory a step further and claim that the primary contradiction now is not the class conflict of workers and capitalists as such, but of imperialist nations and exploited nations. This theory sees Marx's original concept of the global proletariat as outdated, since the labor aristocracy is so wealthy they no longer have nothing to lose but their chains, and so they argue that class distinctions should be based not strictly on the relationship to the means of production, but on the basis of exploitation, arguing that the first world workers earn more than they produce and are therefore net exploiters. The consequence of this is that the revolutionary potential in imperialist countries is said to be minimal or non-existent, and that first world workers support imperialism to sustain their privileged lifestyle. While many believe the modern Chinese government to be revisionist, the Maoist movement is still an active force in many countries around the world, such as India, Nepal, and the Philippines.